and welcome inside the high school huddle. Along with Ronnie Phillips, Phil Nichols, I'm Chris Evans. We get set for the 2024 high school football season. Today, we take a look at the MacArthur Highlanders in 5A1. But first, let's hear from our title sponsor, Red River Roofing.
Nothing revitalizes your home faster than new siding. Transform your house into your dream home with Red River Roofing Siding and Windows. Call today for a free inspection.
The Highlanders coming off an 8-3 season a year ago. Legendary coach Brett Manning returns again. He's one of the better ones in 5A, staple in 5A. And we got to see him in their season a year ago in Guthrie. Guthrie had the convincing playoff victory inside the Rock. But we all left that night saying MacArthur is somewhere in this year's top five.
Yeah, I mean, they had some kids that really stood out. Two sophomores stood out in the QB Lachlan and Adam Austin, the big wide receiver defensive back commitment already. Just a junior, already committed to University of Arkansas, but physical wide receiver, quarterback can flat sling it. They're going to win a lot of football games this year.
Yeah, Adam Austin, as Phil mentioned, a junior. Really, it was fun to watch the Highlander offense, which Coach Manning, he's an offensive guy, be able to throw the football they did. And they had success later on as the game went on. Yeah. And they're getting a year of summer weights and all that stuff. They only got better.
Well, if you remember going into that game against Guthrie in the playoffs, Guthrie statistically was having their best season ever on defense, multiple shutout games. And the question was, is Mac even going to score against that Blue Jay defense? And by God, they spun the ball and they scored a lot, and they scored some points that game. So we were all very impressed with Mac when they came into Guthrie last year. We knew they'd be a top 5 program this year.
Yeah, I mentioned MacArthur 8-3, and they had their friends in Elgin got the better end of them. We'll talk about Elgin here in just a little bit. But, MacArthur was able to score 21 points against that Guthrie defense. Remember, Carl Albert, the defending state champions, able to score 24 against that Guthrie defense. So not that you can really compare team to team, but it is interesting when you look at the numbers. And speaking of interesting, you look at MacArthur's schedule this year, and boom, right on the top is the Elgin Owls, now a Class 4A program this year. So this is a non-district game. As years past, it's been a district game. And you got, after that, I guess you can call basically all 3 rival games now. Of course, crosstown rivals, Lawton Ike and Lawton, and throw in Ponca City. And then after that, you look at the 5A1 schedule highlighted. There's some tough games there in the middle, but highlighted at the end of the season with Bishop McGuinness. Yeah,
McGuinness is the one at the end. Elgin at the beginning. I think the 2 toughest games are on bookends. 2 should be 2 very, very competitive ball games. I think that we were talking about Midwest City. I mean, it's still Midwest City. I think they're down a little bit this year, but you just never know. In the middle of the season, you never know what could happen. Injuries could come into play there. Newcastle, I think, is going to be a playoff team this year in 5A as well. So, I mean, there's a couple good teams down the road. But boy, McGuinness and Elgin stand out.
Yeah, those 2 games for sure. But, again, looking at their schedule, that's a long drive from Lawton all the way to Ponca City. I mean, something to consider. I mean, if you played on Neutrofield, I think, obviously, Mac wins that game handily. But, again, you never know what can happen when you travel that far. We've seen teams we've seen Guthrie travel all the way Guyman. That's a long trip, and sometimes they might not start off as fast, but those teams are good enough to overcome that kind of stuff. But sometimes you just never know. But again, Elgin and McGuinness are 2 games that we should definitely be looking for.
It's also been a while. I mean, we're going to have, you got the big lineman for Elgin, Tennessee commit, transferred in this year. He's obviously a stud on the O-line, and then you have the Austin kid who's got over 15 Power 4 offers, of course, committed to Arkansas currently, but he's just a junior. That's subject to change.
Power 4 still sounds weird.
Power 4 sounds weird. It does. Very weird, Sounds very weird. But anyway, I think another really, really good football team in Lawton MacArthur.
And it was probably not a team that MacArthur last year lost to Midwest City 42-7. I don't know if injuries or something. But MacArthur is better than Midwest City, getting beat by 35. So can they overcome that a year ago? That's a pretty big difference to go 42-7 to winning that game.
That's going to be tough. You're right.
It's going to be tough. But
that's a good point.
As we take a look at the preseason records, and I think we're we're feeling strong about the Highlanders, guys, as the records will pop up here in just a second. I think the bookends, Elgin and McGinnis, are the two games that everyone will be eyeballing on how the Highlander season go as a perfect season or a blemish. But you got to show up against Midwest City. You got to show up against the Lawton Ike, now in 6A2.
Yep.
You got to show up there. I think they'll be good favorites over Lawton. Ponca City's been in the playoff the last couple of years. They got a new coach this year. But MacArthur is not a team that you can go, okay, we got Duncan this week. Let's just kind of cool, relax. They got to show up every week. But if they do that, according to us, they're going to have a good season.
Well, I've got them going 10-0.
Yeah,
That's a good season, Phil.
Well, I mean, but I will tell you, I think Elgin early. I think they're going to remember that butt whipping they took last year. These kids, younger team last year at Mac, not so young anymore. Going to want some revenge there, and then I'd have them taking care of McGinnis the last game of the year. And I think everything in the middle, yeah, they've got to show up to play. They're not a Carl Albert type team, but most games they play, they're going to have the two best athletes on the field.
If they go 10-0, I'm going, wow, that's a really good year. 9-1 is what I went with. I guess, if they go 8-2, I go, I mean, it's not bad. If 8-2 is a great season for 98% of the schools out there. But if I were to pick the one, it would be the first game out of the chute with Elgin.
Yeah, 9-1 is what I have them as well, with Elgin winning that first game. 8-2 is definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
For me, it would be hard to believe come week 10, week 11, or week 10, and we go, the two undefeated teams of 5A is MacArthur and Carl Albert.
There's going to be three of them.
Oh, who's the other one?
Collinsville.
Oh, yeah. So it'd be weird to
Or Dale City.
see three of them. Three be undefeated come week 10. So I think 9-1 is a good season.
So you're saying no chance to go 10-0?
I'm not saying that.
Well, it sounds like you're saying that. Is he saying that?
And in past, and if you go off MacArthur's past, I would be absolutely shocked if they go 10-0.
They've been undefeated before.
Oh, I know.
They were
in the past couple of years.
8-2 a year ago in the regular season.
Yeah,
Midwest City and Elgin got them.
I'm just telling you. I think you know what? I think they put a thumping on Elgin week 1.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I do. No, I do.
Doubling down.
No, I do. I think these kids, I'm telling you, Adam Austin and the Lockland, there is no two kids on Elgin's team that are as athletic as those two kids. None.
Bulletin board.
That play the skilled positions. There just isn't.
I love it.
I mean, Elgin loses a 2,000-yard rusher last year. You don't just replace that kid. I know they got the young kid coming back. He's going to be a 4-year starter if it's all said and done on defense, right? For Elgin, tough kid, great
Running back,
football player.
Ritzenmeyer, yeah.
Yeah, great football player. But you don't replace 2,000 yards.
If I were you, I'd click over to the Elgin team preview.
Yes, go to the Elgin team preview next.
All right. That'll do it here. Be sure to catch the High School Huddle live show every Wednesday night of the high school football season. We're live right here on Second Banana Media starting at 6 o'clock. It's interactive, so you can put in your comments. Be glad to go back and forth with you. Tell us about the games and tell us about your team and players that you'd like to watch as well. That begins happens all season long. So be sure to join us to see if MacArthur can go 10-0 and try to erase that.
Go Highlanders.
See if they can erase that 42-7 loss to Midwest City.
I'm going to have to get some green. All right.
Yeah.
The last time they went on the field, they got beat by Guthrie 49-21.
And impress the living daylights out of me.
They were impressive.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Best of luck to the Highlanders. We'll talk to you next time here on the High School Huddle.
There we go.